I want to talk about another thing that, I'll be honest, sucks. But we'll talk about it and talk about why and hopefully find something useful here. Please, guys, the spider parts thing is not real. So a thing that you all might know is that PragerU has worked their way into American educational systems at an official level. For those of you who don't know what PragerU is, it sucks, but it's a right-wing ideological content manufacturing plant that creates things that perpetuate a weird, like, America first, Christian white nationalist, libertarian ideology. It's not good. It's not good. And under the current administration, they've now gotten some influence in American education. I talked about ContraPoints. I talked about PragerU at my old job in some videos we made there, but it's bad. I do have to shout out that someone just made a Detroiters reference in reference to the bit about Yes Please Coffee not being spider parts. So shout out to Devereaux Wigs. I think that is the name of the company. And again, not spider parts. But yeah, PragerU sucks. And it used to suck in a way that was just kind of funny. But now it sucks in a way that's a little more serious. And that is because they have contracts now with school boards in America. In particular, they're working with Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma already has this guy, Ryan Walters, who's the school superintendent there. And this guy sucks. He sucks real bad. His whole thing is that, like, the Bible needs to be a history book, and like teachers have to pledge allegiance to a certain set of standards that are ahistorical and ideologically based. Real bad guy, like real bad guy. And this just came out yesterday. It says Oklahoma to require ideology tests for teachers from New York and California. So weird. So weird. I mean, so much dumb, weird stuff going on here. The idea, and we'll look at the article. Don't worry, I'm not just going to yell about the headline. The idea that you only do this to teachers from New York and California is wild. It's wild because those are like diverse states. So that's weird. It's wild because I guess you're acting like California and New York are the only states that have liberals or progressives or something like that, when they're both states like most. I mean, again, Americans know this. If you're not in America, just to remind you, our country is pretty evenly split. Like, a red state has like 5% more people that go Republican, and a blue state has like 5 or 6% more people that go Democrat. It's not as crazy as one makes it out when they frame things in this sort of way. But also ideology tests. So it says Oklahoma will require applicants for teacher jobs coming from California and New York. I would love to see and maybe we'll get into this, the official reasoning why it's only those states. Will require applicants for teacher jobs coming from California and New York to pass an exam that the Republican-dominated state's top education official says is designed to safeguard against radical leftist ideology, which opponents decry as a MAGA loyalty test. This whole obsession with radical leftist ideology to a problem in America is we still have this Red Scare thing in our bones where we just assume like left bad, Marx bad, communist bad, socialist bad, or whatever. But you don't have to give a reason why. Anyone who has like uncles knows this. Someone will just say like, but so-and-so is a communist. And you're like, okay, let's say that they are. Let's say that they are. Now tell me why that is bad. Mondami is a socialist. Sure. Why is that bad? Because he wants to make the bus free and groceries more cheap. I would just love the justification for this. Ryan Walters, Oklahoma's public school superintendent, said Monday that any teacher coming from the 2 blue states will be required to pass an assessment exam administered by PragerU, an Oklahoma-based conservative nonprofit, before getting a state certification. So it's not even a test that their school board has come up with to, let's just say, like, make sure someone is at the adequate standards they need educationally. They're just letting a stupid website a stupid website that makes horrible content to spread reactionary garbage. They're letting them give teachers a test. Like, could you imagine? Also, if you're coming from California or New York and going to Oklahoma to teach, things probably aren't, you're already in a bad place. Shout out to Oklahoma, but come on, it's the Dust Bowl. You don't want to be in the Dust Bowl. If anyone's from Oklahoma, let me know how it is. The only things I know about Oklahoma, I know three things. They have a fun basketball team that is good. There's a lot of good guitar effects manufacturers there. And I feel like there's some good beers I've drinking from Oklahoma. Drinking. Those are the only things I know about Oklahoma. As long as I'm superintendent, Oklahoma classrooms will be safeguarded from the radical leftist ideology fostered in places like California and New York. What does that even mean? Like, what does that mean? What is the radical leftist ideology perpetuated in these states? So, I live in California, a state where real estate lobbyists run things, where the state that like fostered the techno fascism and techno feudalist people from Silicon Valley, like this is the state where that came from. Like all those psychopaths who think everything is computer, the Peter Thiels of the world, the Palantir Bros, like Silicon Valley fostered all of that. Most of the wealth in California is built off real estate speculation and crap. I mean, radical leftist ideology, give me a friggin' break. Gavin Newsom's a slickback D-hole. New York, I mean, this is a state where like Cuomo was running stuff. And now it looks like he's not going to be mayor of New York. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But like the idea that there's some radical ideology in these states is just silly. And the idea that because someone is from a place, they have an ideology reflective of the place, when of course you're doing the thing. You know what I mean? Like this guy is saying, New York and California educators, you can't come here because you're committed to some rigorous constructed ideology. So to prove that you're not, you need to pass a test created by a weird nonprofit website to show that you have a very hyper-specific manufactured ideology that's not historically constructed and isn't sort of certified by any academic organization. That's crazy. It's like saying, like, to make sure you're not in that death cult, pledge fealty to this death cult. It's not good. It's not good at all. And it sucks. You know what it really sucks for? Friggin' kids in Oklahoma that want to go to school and learn stuff. That sucks that they have to deal with this and they have to deal with this guy. PragerU puts out short videos of the conservative perspective on politics and economics. Like some of their videos are things like a white guy wearing a mustache and a sombrero going to like a college campus in LA on Cinco de Mayo and being like, can I be a Mexican for fun or something? Like it's bad. They focus on changing minds through creative use of digital media. Quentin Hitchcock, spokesperson for the state's education department, said the Prager test has been finalized. We'll be rolling out soon. I want to see this test. The state did not release the entire 50-question test, but it did provide the first 5 questions, which include asking what the first 3 words of the U.S. Constitution are. Okay, Tess, what are the first 3 words of the U.S. Constitution? Could you guys pass this? Isn't it? So was it we the people? I'm not going to cheat. But I think it's we the people. Mr. Beat would know. And why freedom of religion is important to America's identity. That one feels really subjective. Like, why freedom of religion is important to America's identity. Couldn't you say a lot of stuff there? And couldn't you give a really leftist answer? I don't know. Prager didn't respond. But later there, oh, here we go. At least they say it. But Marissa Streit, I can't say names, CEO of PragerU, told CNN that several questions on the assessment relate to undoing the damage of gender ideology. There it is, folks. There it is. It almost always comes back these days to the fact that these people just like hate trans kids or queer kids. They just want a bunch of straight whites. They want straight whites. You know, they want whites that are straight. They want straights that are white. They want white straights that love Christ. White straights that love Christ. Christ loving white straights is what they want. The damage of gender ideology. What does this even mean? You know, and especially when we are in a country here in America, shout out to my fellow Americans, where our education system is tough. It's like not good. I think many of you know this. It's not good. The problem with our public education system in the United States of America isn't the damage of gender ideology. That's not the one that's doing it. I would love, and like when these people say the damage of gender ideology, they normally mean like you can't teach a book in school where penguins are gay though, or something like that. It's nuts. Jonathan Zimmerman, who teaches history of education at the University of Pennsylvania, said Oklahoma's contract with PragerU is a watershed moment. Instead of Prager simply being a resource that you can draw in an optional way, Prager has become institutionalized as part of the system. That's good. That's really good. Zimmerman did a survey. He said that teachers are relying on online resources, such as those from Prager. He says, I think we're seeing something different, which is actually, this is horrifying, empowering Prager as a kind of gatekeeper for future teachers. Why? 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 It's one of those things too, where I'm like, I want to know how many actual educators are involved with PragerU. What is Dennis Prager? What's his background? What did he do? Let's see what Dennis Prager's background actually is. Mr. PragerU, American conservative radio talk show host and writer. He co-founded PragerU. Let's see. He was born in Brooklyn. He went to college. He went to law school. Have you taught anywhere? No, I don't see teaching. He hosted a Sunday night religious talk show, Religion on the Line. He wrote books about anti-Semitism. He divorced and underwent a year of therapy. Okay, where he wrote a book called he wrote an essay called Judaism, Homosexuality, and Civilization that argued against normalizing homosexuality in the Jewish community. That's cool. He got remarried. He was on the radio all the time, political commentary. He supported Jimmy Carter? Okay. But what I'm saying is I don't see anything here about like teaching. I don't see anything about a training in education. He started PragerU. He speaks a bunch of languages. He fell and had a back injury. I feel bad for him in that sense. Back injuries are terrible. But yeah, like there's nothing about Dennis Prager that indicates he is someone that should be starting and running an educational organization that then has a major say in determining the educational standards of teachers. One of the nation's largest teachers union, the American Federation of Teachers, controversial take. Teachers are good and teachers unions are good. Fight me if you don't agree. They've been at odds with Trump's administration. Their president said that the MAGA loyalty test will be yet another turnoff for teachers in a state already struggling with a huge shortage. President Randy Weingarten was critical of Walters, who sucks. Says his priority should be educating students, but instead it's getting Donald Trump and other MAGA politicians to notice him. That's true. Like, again, we act like educational theory doesn't exist. We act like pedagogy doesn't exist. We act like all of these things, all these fields of study, all these experts don't exist to help us reform and improve education. Instead, we just have like a guy. We just have like this guy who wants Trump to like lick his taint. And so to do that, he's just wrecking the education system of the state, being like, notice me, master, let your tongue do the work. Someone else raised concern about the test preventing teachers from applying to jobs. This is a state rep from Oklahoma said, you want to see a textbook definition of indoctrination? How about a loyalty test for teachers? Said Waldron. It's a sad echo of a more paranoid past. Waldron, a New Jersey native, would have been the target of this test when she moved from DC to Oklahoma in 1999. Teachers are not rushing here from other states to teach. We've got an enormous teacher shortage, and it's not like we have a giant supply of teachers coming in from blue states anyways. Yeah, so again, like, it's pretty clear this isn't a problem. Like, they don't have a lot of teachers coming in from those states anyways, so they're just creating the standard just because. And, as always, Why would they do this? Well, there's obviously the fact that the dude from Oklahoma wants to get licked up and down by Donald Trump's sandpaper tongue, but also because consciously, unconsciously, or just systematically, these people understand that controlling ideology and access to education has downstream political effects. These people understand that if they can constrain what is deemed as normal and accessible and part of like the canon in schools, they can shape the thinking of generations to agree with them. They can construct an alternative worldview that serves their purposes. They can, again, create an ideological structure, as Louis Althusser would say, an ideological state apparatus, systems that reinforce structures of economic and political power. And that's what they're trying to do. Hot take from me. What do I know? Education should primarily be about inspiring curiosity, opening us up to the wonders of the world, pushing our critical thinking, making us encounter positions that aren't our own, and learning cool science stuff. So I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, and I don't like it. And my final word on that would be PragerU. So my joke.